Breaking tonight, another big story playing out on the 2016 campaign trail in addition to the Trump tape, and this one involves Hillary Clinton. WikiLeaks published what it claims are transcripts from closed-door speeches that Hillary Clinton gave to Wall Street executives 2 years ago. Transcripts that might have had a big impact on the Democratic primary and will definitely lead to new questions at the excerpts. It will definitely lead to new questions at the debate on Sunday night. Now, the excerpts include Mrs. Clinton suggesting that Wall Street insiders are best equipped to help reform the financial sector. Wall Street insiders are. How do you think Bernie Sanders would feel about that? She also conceded that presidential candidates for either party must have tens of millions in contributions from New York to mount a competitive national campaign. Those are the wrong leads. Wait until you hear what she says. Trace Gallagher has got the breaking news with some of the highlights. Trace?
Megyn, Hillary Clinton and her campaign have repeatedly refused to release the transcripts of her speeches, and political analysts say these leaked excerpts are likely the reason why, including where she apparently called Bernie Sanders supporters a, quote, bucket of losers. They come from some 2,000 emails hacked from the personal account of top Clinton aide John Podesta, none of which have been confirmed, mind you. They show Clinton campaign researchers trying to flag Podesta about quotes that could be politically damaging. For example, one that says Clinton admits she's out of touch, referring to a speech she made at Goldman Sachs where she talked about her middle-class upbringing and went on to say, quoting, so I lived that, and now obviously I'm kind of far removed because the life I've lived and the economic, fortunes that my husband and I now enjoy. But I haven't forgotten it. Another red flag came in 2013, a speech to the National Multi-Housing Council where she said, quoting again, I mean, politics is like sausage being made. It is unsavory, and it always has been that way. But we usually end up where we need to be. But if everybody's watching, all of the backroom discussions and the deals, then people get a little nervous, to say the least. So you need both a public and a private position. The aides also flagged comments where Clinton is aware of the security concerns around BlackBerries, even admitting that everyone at the State Department was being hacked, even personal emails, quoting here again, at the State Department, we were attacked every hour, more than once an hour, by incoming efforts to penetrate everything we had. The emails also entailed comments indicating she supports the Keystone Pipeline, which she publicly opposes, how she favors single-payer or government-funded health care, how she thinks Wall Street insiders are what's needed to fix Wall Street, and why she supports lowering corporate tax rates and raising the Social Security age. For the record, of the $22 million she made from speeches after resigning as Secretary of State, $3 million came from Wall Street. So far, there has been no comment from the Clinton campaign. John Podesta thinks he was hacked by Russians trying to throw the election to Donald Trump. Megyn.
Trace, thank you. Joining us now, Chris Dyer-Walt and Howie Kurtz are back, plus David Wohl, who's an attorney and Trump supporter, and Matt Bennett, who's co-founder of Third Way and a former deputy assistant to President Clinton. Good to see you all. So, I mean, I don't know where to start. I'll start with this. My dream is a hemispheric common market with open trade and open borders, and what appears to be a reference to Bernie Sanders supporters, although all that's absolutely clear is it's people on the left, calling them bucket of losers. Bucket of losers, she refers to. Matt Bennett, I'll give it to you as a Democrat who worked for President Clinton about what this tells us about the Democratic nominee.
Well, look, it may tell us nothing at all, Megyn, because these emails come from WikiLeaks, which the Homeland Security today said come from the Russians. We're having a discussion that the Kremlin wants us to have. They handed this over in an effort to mess around with this election.
It's true these haven't been authenticated. It is true this haven't, but it's not that we don't have verification that these are her words and they haven't been manipulated. But so far we are not hearing that from Team Clinton. They're not coming out and challenging the authenticity yet.
Well, no, but remember that something like 12,000 pages of John Podesta's emails, were stolen and put up online by WikiLeaks. So that's a lot for them to get through in just a few hours, and I'm not surprised that they haven't commented on any particular thing.
Well, it's an important caveat. It's true, David Wohl, we don't know for sure the authenticity of these documents. In a court of law, these would not be admissible yet. We'd have to prove that they were authentic. But if they are authentic, these are politically problematic.
Yeah, Megyn, I mean, this will hit Hillary Clinton's campaign like a 9.0 earthquake when this is absorbed. I mean, this exposes her literally as a complete fraud. And I think the most critical point that was made, I think it was when a transcript, a Wall Street bank speech was released. And literally, Megyn, she said, I have two different policies. I have a public policy, which I talk to people about, and then I've got a private policy, which is completely different. So what that essentially says is that when I'm campaigning, I will do whatever it takes to get elected. I'm going to tell them whatever they want to hear, whatever I think they need to hear, but the truth is going to be held secret. That is critical. That exposes her as a typical sleazy politician who will do anything to get elected, Megyn. This is huge. All Kelly File viewers have to review this stuff.
The other thing she says, Howie, is I'm hoping whatever the shortfalls or glitches in the healthcare law here in America, those will be remedied, and we can keep moving forward to get affordable universal healthcare coverage like you have here in Canada. So she's pushing for Canadian healthcare, open borders, open trade, and on top of all that, she acknowledges that the State Department emails are being hacked and that they were hacking people's personal emails while she was using personal email on a personal server and acting as her Secretary of State, talking about things that could endanger sources and methods and agents out in the field.
Right. While all politicians have public and private positions, to hear Hillary Clinton, who is a big supporter of Obamacare, say she really wants to move to single payer, which is basically government-run health insurance, and what she said about bucket of losers, people on the left, do we add that to basket of deplorables for Trump supporters? That's damaging. But the most radioactive phrase in here, as you note, is open borders, because given the sensitivity of the immigration debate and Donald Trump's stand on that and the concerns about terrorism and vetting, that is a radioactive phrase.
You know what, Steyerwalt? If you just saw this report, and any other night this would have been the lead of the show, right? These
Sure.
Hillary Clinton emails. But there's the matter of Donald Trump and women. And,
Right.
and you'd have to think, wow, does Hillary Clinton have a mole at Access Hollywood who managed to release those tapes of Trump on the day that this stuff came out? Which, as far as we know, she does not. But you know as well as I do that women's story, and I'm not saying it's not justified, but that women's story is going to dominate it's going to dominate. And this is going to be ignored by a lot of the mainstream press.
Well, first, apparently the deplorables are drier than the losers, because the deplorables you can put in a basket, the losers go in a bucket. So apparently that's about the right vessel that you need for that group.
Who does she like? Who's not a loser or a deplorable? Just the people who support her?
The deplorable losers are, I guess, the Bernie Sanders supporters who have crossed over to vote for Trump, and they can go in a thermos inside a basket. Hillary Clinton, after a long time of being very unlucky at politics, in 2008 she was snake bit. Nothing ever broke her way. Man, she had a great day today. This comes out now. Of course, it could be totally fake. The WikiLeaks, the Kremlin, dirtbaggery abounds. But it comes out on the same day that the government says, it's true, the Russians are trying to throw the election, and they ain't trying to throw it for her. That's the first thing that she's lucky about. But then, just before Julian Assange, and you can just see him like Dr. Evil tenting his fingers for the moment that he's going to hit send, that somebody at the Washington Post was like, oh, this is interesting. Boom. And the Donald Trump stuff. Yeah, the Donald Trump stuff, because as we mentioned earlier, because it deals with the privilege that he feels to take advantage of women, is going to blow this out of the water.
I got to go, but David, well, you're such a Trump supporter, such a loyalist of his. Can you give us a comment on that tape?
You know, Megyn, I'm glad he apologized, but when you compare this to what Hillary Clinton did to Bill's documented actions, not just thoughts or words, but Bill's actions against women, sexual harassment, alleged rape, and then she tried to silence the women, she tried to intimidate them, she tried to get rid of them, she hired investigators. There's no real comparison, Megyn, but I'm glad he said, I'm sorry, let's move on to substance.
Go ahead, Matt.
I mean, you got to be kidding. If there's anybody that's sleazy in this race, I think it's pretty clear that it's Donald Trump.
And I do have to go, but I got to ask you this, Chris, one more. Is there any chance Donald Trump actually is going to drop out and not be the nominee on this ticket?
No.
Okay,
He said worse than, or he said
nonsense.
almost as bad as this before. He ain't going anywhere.
We've never heard
I'm with Chris.
the grab. That's,
Well,
we've never heard anything
that
like
is a new kind of grossness, but he said some stuff before. He's in for a penny, in for a pound. The Republicans bought this. They're going to ride it all the way down.
Okay. Good to see you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Megyn.
Up next, a Kelly File exclusive. An icon of American film shares a strongly worded message for Donald Trump.
I mean, he's so blatantly stupid. He's a punk. He's a dog. He's a pig.
Former Bush media advisor Mark McKinnon is next on the Robert De Niro message and whether it hurts Mr. Trump or helps him. Don't miss this. You'll see it only here.